Okay, just very briefly about myself. I've been in higher education for about 3 decades. The first of half is mostly in information technology, with a little bit of entrepreneurship in between, and the latter half focused largely on innovation and design. So these are my considered thoughts based on that. Yeah, first a brief personal story. That's my dad, who was born about 100 years ago. He was born in extreme poverty. There wasn't much food to eat at home. A lot of time they depended on temples close by that served prasad to fill their stomachs, the family. And he studied under a lamppost, made it to college. And then his father passed away. His eldest brother passed away, and yet another brother ran away from home, and he was left with brothers and sisters and a mother to take care of. Fortunately for him, fortunately in quotes, it was the Second World War. He had a college degree. He became an officer in the Indian Army, and that helped him take care of his mother and his brothers and sisters. However, the education that he had gained, it was a degree in history, served no purpose in the military. So the military kept training him throughout his career. He was a career officer. So as and when he needed education, he received that form of education. It helped him not only take care of his family, but he served his nation in 3 wars in 1948 and 65 and 1971. So education served for yourself and to serve society. When he was done, when he was retired, he discovered that everything that he had learned in the army did not help him in his post-military career. So he studied part-time, got a diploma in management, and that helped him extend his career. So learning was something lifelong, and he was my second teacher after my mother. Learned a lot from him. What has happened in education? In the early stages, the teacher was, of course, the container, the communicator, and the interpreter of knowledge, and hence we needed classrooms. The only way you could get knowledge was in the classroom, from the teacher. Then came books. So the books are the container, the teacher becomes the communicator and the interpreter. Books are lifeless. So merely provide information is not enough. You need someone to breathe life into it. That's why you have human teachers who engage, who provide different perspectives, and your classmates too. And now technology exists. It relieves the teacher of the burden of both being the container and the communicator. Now you can focus largely on engagement, which is the most critical role now. And that's what leads to deep and productive learning. So what are some challenges for education in India? We have a massive population of young people who will rebel and revolt if they don't have a means of living. And to work today is knowledge intensive, and therefore it requires advanced skills. Today, no longer, my cousin, who's about my age, he worked for GE for 30 years, is probably the last of a dinosaur species that can have a lifelong career. In the course of a lifetime, you'll probably have 2, 3, 4 careers, which means your education doesn't end with a degree, 2, 3, 4 years. That's over. Okay? Industries and professions die, and new ones emerge every few years. There's a need to constantly skill up. New knowledge is generated every day, so whatever is taught in the classroom is not enough, is never enough. Knowledge is obsolete in years or even months. Knowledge to be productive and effective is practically boundless. So the value of your degree doesn't last your entire career. So how can we provide education that is boundless, lifelong, and constantly changing if we use a model of education that is bounded, limited, of fixed duration, and of limited scope? It makes no sense. So the old knowledge model is gone. Okay? It's obsolete. It's dead. Let's understand it. Let's not throw more good money after bad. What you learn in 3 to 5 years in a classroom will not serve you for even a decade. Since new knowledge is generated constantly, and even during the 3 to 5 years in the college, what your teacher provides you is not sufficient. Now, what do? the college, the traditional academic institution will still remain the cornerstone of education, but it's going to play a role that doesn't exceed about 20 to 25% of your education. Let's understand, the old model is dead, it's gone. The role of the professor and teacher is to facilitate rather than communicate and be the container. So what's technology doing? It enables and facilitates learning beyond the classroom. Young people are technology savvy, they expect technology. They're constantly connected to sources of information and to other people. And much of their learning is technology mediated. We better understand and accept that. So technology in education, it's been around for a long time. Chalkboard is technology, slates are a technology, overhead projectors, PCs, smart boards, tablets, engaging, gamified content, new testing and evaluation methods. You can keep spinning this out. That's not going to improve education. Okay? There's no substitute for person-to-person engagement. That's how learning happens. So Ekalavya learned a great deal by himself. Imagine if Dronacharya had actually accepted him as a student. What a difference that would have made. So knowledge is not static information, but knowledge is dynamically and socially constructed, and that can only happen through people engaging with people. So, constant human interaction is at the core. Not CDs, not DVDs, not animated content. That's people. Okay? So how do you mediate and facilitate learning? Learning is the oldest and most fundamental of all activities. If we are human, it's because we learn. Technology's key role is to assist and enhance, not subvert. Assist and enhance, not subvert, not replace. This core, natural, automatic human process. It's automatic, it's natural. Okay? And so, I am now an advisor, having retired, for a startup called CollPoll. CollPoll is a technology that connects the key stakeholders, students, faculty, administrators, and ultimately all stakeholders in learning. It collects valuable data for analysis and decision making. Since there's no one fixed method, we have to keep tweaking and customizing learning for every learner out there. We cannot treat students as identical entities. They're each different, each learns differently. Technology is great for storing and manipulating and delivering information, but the most important purpose is to facilitate engagement. So, learning is a social process. Engagement technology extends learning in time and space, beyond the classroom and beyond the boundaries of educational institutions, which will still be important, but will serve as one component. Now the institution has to expand beyond the classroom, beyond the limits of time and space. Engagement technology makes lifelong learning possible, as was possible in the case of my father, who learned throughout his life. So we can keep refining our methods, keep introducing new information and knowledge.